What's that? Okay, hello everyone. Give everyone a little bit to join. I know I said a 7:11 because I just wanted to pick an odd time, but YouTube said 7:15 in the official invite, so I don't want to. Okay, so it has been a hot minute since I saw you guys last, and I apologize. I actually went back and watched my last video to see where we left off. So there's a lot of story to tell, but I'm going to be patient. I don't want to get going too early and not let people join. So let's see, what time is it? 7:12. So I'm going to give everyone a couple more minutes. And again, if you have any questions or comments before then, feel free to put them in there and I'll answer anything you have. So how was everybody's New Year? Did you have a good one? I did not. I slept right through, unfortunately. Yes, sorry. I'm feeling better today than I have been feeling, so I could say that. Um, I had my booster shot on Thursday and all day Friday and all day Saturday. I was in bed with a fever and nausea and other symptoms. Got a COVID arm again, very similar to the symptoms I described to you after my second shot, which I kind of attributed those symptoms to having just had. But it turns out that was not the case. That turns out to be my body's reaction to that shot. So I know I months or maybe even a year before we start having discussion about another booster, but I'm starting to worry already about that booster. Bill tells me, don't borrow the trouble. We'll decide what to do when we get there. So we'll just decide what to do when we get there. Maybe the rules will change, or maybe Bill won't need it. That's really the thing I'm most concerned with, is that if I don't get it, I won't be protecting him. Oh, in any case, let's see, 7:13. So I did go to work today. It was my first day back. I was off for most of the month of December, at least half of it. I went into the office, I think up till the 10th, 12th or 13th. I went into the office, maybe the 12th. And then I was off for the remainder of the month. So that was a lovely, lovely break we had. And then the end of my vacation got kind of kiboshed by that booster shot, unfortunately. So, all day Friday, all day Saturday, and a good portion of the day Sunday, I was just not feeling well. And even this morning, when I went to work this morning, I said to Bill, feels a little like PTSD, like from when I had cancer, or when I was actively being treated for cancer, because I just went to work like I did often when I was sick, but I just felt a little off. I felt kind of weak. I still felt tired. My muscles were achy, and I was still just that smidge nauseous. And like I just didn't feel right this morning. So I'm like, this is days, right? If you think about it, Thursday through Monday, definitely through Sunday. It's just a lot of time to donate to science so that I can get a shot that I'm not even clear on. Well, I guess it is what it is. I did the right thing, right? So it's done. All right. We're almost there. All right. So I'm going to get started. Um, please do ask questions, and you'll see me looking down at the computer here so I can check what's going on. So I thought one thing I would do is take a look at my old sheets where I used to go through my symptoms and signs and all that kind of stuff and tell you how I'm feeling compared to that. Is that a good place to start, or would you like to hear what my current prognosis is? Oh, got a question here. All right, so the question is, Becca here. Sorry to jump right to the point, but why was EPOC your chemo treatment? Did you have double hit lymphoma? Okay, and they're saying current prognosis, and Kathy is saying hello, hello. All right, so EPOC was the choice, I guess, and I don't know if I think my doctors were fairly educated. We didn't ever totally type the type of lymphoma. You might have seen that in some of the old videos. So the progress of my diagnosis was very fast. Stage 4, I think, as you can abdominal pain. This was a year ago in October, and like crazy pain. Like, I looked it up and I thought maybe this is a kidney stone kind of pain, but it wasn't that sharp pain. And other people had kidney stones. And my husband sees a nephrologist, so I texted him on the side and said, "Hey, I have these symptoms. Do you think I could have a kidney stone?" And he's like, "No, it sounds like muscle." So he was kind of against it, but the pain was still there, and it progressed for a full weekend. I couldn't get rid of it with Tylenol and Advil and ice packs and cold packs and heat packs and everything. And so I scheduled an appointment with my doctor. By the time I saw my doctor, it started to feel a little better, but it was still pretty significant. And so she did a full like urine analysis to just to make sure it wasn't kidney or any UTI or something like that was causing the pain because of the location. And it was really abdominal, but as you all know, abdominal pain refers and so forth. And so kind of long story longer. She's like, I don't think it's, we waited for it to come back. The in-office results said nothing. There was no issue with the urine. But she's like, well, we'll send it for the full workup and we'll do a full blood workup. And then also, I think it would be irresponsible of me with your history not to do a CT scan. So this was mid to late October. It took the insurance in my doctor's office 2 to 3 weeks to get that CT scanner, pre-certified. So November 13th, I went for my CT scan. I don't know if I've told this story before. Um, Sorry if I'm retelling, guys. On November 13th, I went for my CT scan, and appointment was 8:30 in the morning or 8:15 in the morning. They did the pictures. It's relatively quick diagnostic. I think I was 40-ish, with my disc in hand from the radiologist. And I got home and I set my phone down. At that time, I kept my phone always on mute, on vibrate. And I just set it down. I had taken off the day from work, and my husband was asking me to prepare him some breakfast. And I just set it down and I started working on breakfast, and I brought it over to him. And then I sat down after that was ready, maybe 5 minutes to 9. And I picked up my phone, and there were 4 missed calls from my doctor's office. And the pit in my stomach just dropped. And so I tried to call them back, and you go through the conversant and do you have this or that? And I was just about through to talk to somebody, and the phone buzzed through. So I answered the phone, call from the doctor's office before 9 o'clock in the morning. The doctor would like to see you in her office by today. And can you come in today at, I think it was 11:30 or noon? That she can see you then. And your husband can come with you, she said. Now, this was in the depths of the pandemic pre vaccine. None of the appointments I've been on in the last 6 months, were in person. Most were telehealth, but the in person ones, they were like, you need to come by yourself, wear your mask, yada, yada, yada. You guys will live through it. And they were like, nope, come in. And so what the findings were basically was on that scan, they found metastatic cancer in my spleen and my liver. I forget the numbers now. I didn't bring that picture up with me. The spleen was doubled in size, and the liver had a significant mass, very significant. I'm going to say it was 9-ish centimeters, I think, but don't quote me on that. I'm sorry. It's been a year. I'm starting to block it out. And my calcium was elevated. And so that was what we knew. Now, I already had an oncologist because I'd had cancer twice before. So she immediately contacted him. She said, he's going to be able to work better with you and get you the help you need than me. This is my general, they're not going to listen to me and do what I want. But she said she spoke to him, and his plan was PET scan, more blood work, and liver biopsy. And then, of course, I spoke to him within a few hours. He called me, and same plan: liver biopsy, blood work, and what's the last thing? PET scan. I'm blocking it out, and liver biopsy. So, And this again is where everything comes into play. So then that was a Friday afternoon. So Monday morning, I went for blood work, totally shell shocked. We didn't have any idea what kind of cancer it was. The CT scan said it could be, because those are the two types I had before. My oncologist was like, it is absolutely not that kind of cancer. So, and he was very confident, but it is what it is. But then we had to go about figuring out what it was. So we scheduled the liver biopsy, and the first available appointment was November 30th. And again, this was because you had to have a COVID test 3 days before, and and da da da. And then, of course, that was around Thanksgiving. So we had all these variables, and the 18, there was nobody to do the biopsy in the week before because that was Thanksgiving week, and the week after, and yada, yada, yada. So we couldn't get it with the time we had. We couldn't get the liver biopsy any sooner. So we did that. And then, meanwhile, my insurance company rejected the PET scan. But what did happen on the blood work was that the calcium elevated like another point. And as you may or may not know, I assume you do, calcium elevates. So it's a big indicator that there's an issue. It's a big cancer marker. And the higher it goes, the more risk your body's at. There's all kinds of issues, and you have a tendency to be altered in your brain and all kinds of things. So, like, elevated calcium is bad news, and it's common with cancer patients. So the doctor was a little upset. There was another. Help me, guys. Oh, oh crud. Two other cancer markers. I've just blocked it out. Hold on, get my phone here. Sorry, I'm gonna check. If anybody remembers, shoot in here. My CA-125 was crazy high, and I had previously had ovarian cancer, and I still had an ovary, so that was a big concern in my mind. And then the other one was, yeah, what was the other marker? I'm sorry, guys. I hate to do this to you. Okay, so meanwhile, so there's two markers. Well, we knew there was cancer because we could see it on the scan, so that wasn't a surprise per se. But the issue or concern, I guess. Nope, I'm not getting there. Sorry. All right, I'm not going to waste your time. I have to look for it. I'm sorry. It wasn't my lymphocytes. Hi, Dave. Hi, Kathy. It was this video, and I replay it. Okay, so long story longer again. And then we went for the liver biopsy. And again, it was about 3 weeks. And we really had no idea what kind of cancer this was. Like I said, my oncologist was confident that it was not breast or ovarian, but other than that, we really did not know what it was. So we went for the liver biopsy. Unfortunately, the same radiology group that did the first scan also did the liver biopsy at the hospital. And so they first started looking for breast and ovarian, even though the doctor said not to. They took two full samples of liver, like, the big needle, ouch. And at the end of the day, they did not pull enough material once they figured out it was lymphoma to type it down to the, what did you say, double hit lymphoma. All we knew is that it was large B cell lymphoma. So at the time, my oncologist, who's kind of old school, was like, well, it'll be our EPOC or our chop, right? Which is overlapping. Is it? It's HDL. I think it's HDL, the other cancer marker. Now I'm thinking about it. Sorry, it's not the HDL from your cholesterol. It's HDL. It's a lactose, sometimes a lactolase indicator. So mine was higher. Oh no! Do I have some way to fix the cable? All right, let me. I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 minute. I'm gonna go off camera, but I'll keep talking to you. How's that? Let me see if I can plug in my computer to the internet directly, not through Wi-Fi, to see if that makes a difference. Can I? All right, so the case, we did the biopsy. We knew it was lymphoma. This was November 30th, and then in the meanwhile, I went into the doctor's office. He wanted me to do a bone marrow, not a bone marrow. Yeah, I guess it was bone marrow. They pulled the ugh, sorry, they pulled the words, Jen. It would be good if you had good words here, right? They pull the tissue from your hip and they evaluate it for, to see if there's any spinal in your spinal fluid, stem cells. I don't know. You get where I'm going. So I went into the office to do that, and they pulled blood work, and I don't have the internet cable that I need. Okay, nice picture there. Sorry, guys. Okay. All right. So I did blood work at that time, and those cancer markers and the HDL, the calcium, and the CA-122 had elevated again like crazy, more than the last time that he'd done them. And he was very upset, to say the least. This was December, I'm going to say it was December 10th-ish, 9th, 10th. So almost a month since I first found out I had cancer. He called me on a Friday night and he said that the numbers were alarming, and that if it had not been Friday night, if it had been, Thursday or Wednesday, any other day of the week, he would have sent me to the hospital immediately. But because, I didn't have a valid COVID test and I would have to go in through the ER, da 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 da, he was going to wait. He wanted me to go to the ER first thing on Monday morning. Actually, he tried to get me to circumvent the ER, but because of COVID, you couldn't do that. You had to come in through the ER, get the COVID test, wait there until you cleared and all that other stuff. So hence the beginning of my story. So I started December 13th or 14th of last year. So um, essentially he said, and it was very aggressive. So the size had grown and the that's why he made the choice to go with our epoch over our chop. Very long answer. Okay. Uh, David Baum, text Bill and Sam to stop using the internet. Thank you. Okay. How is this? Am I getting any better? All right. So current prognosis. We're going to jump there. I think I answered the question. So I didn't have any the reason for the REPOC over the RCHOP was that he was scared that it was growing so quickly that we needed to address it right away, and he felt that it deserved the more aggressive treatment. All right. So the last to you guys, I was waiting to get um, my second scan to see if the stuff that was left on the liver was scar tissue or cancer. And in the meanwhile, so that I think I told you in that video, because I just watched it today, that we thought that would be in mid to late July. And wouldn't you know, insurance said, no, you can't have that PET scan. And then they said no. And then we appealed. And then they said no. And then we appealed again. And they said no. And then we appealed. And they said, oh, you need to ask the other guys. And they started doing this thing because, they had that thing with Evacor. And then my insurance company. So the vendor says no. And then the insurance company says, oh, you got to ask the vendor. And then you ask the vendor. And they say, you got to ask the insurance company, back and forth. So I escalated internally. I have a patient advocate. I escalated with them. Unbeknownst to me, she went out on COVID in the middle of the escalation, and it kind of got dropped on her side. Whatever. Um, Long story. They never approved, and Bill was like, if they don't approve by August, I think it was 8th ish, you're done. We're not waiting. Call them and schedule it. We're doing it ourselves. We'll pay for it ourselves. That's what money's for. And so that is what we did. I paid for a PET scan out of pocket. And on August 11th, I had to travel about an hour to go get the PET scan because it was a little farther away from home because that was the first available one, and that was just 3 days after I called them. So I took it gratefully. And the good news here was that the mass on the spleen had remained relatively the same. The PET FDG, the uptake was relatively the same as the last time, and not significantly more than my liver SUV or uptake, which means that it's pretty much the same, but they definitely could see it, and it was still about the same size. And the conclusion, because it hadn't really changed, was no definitive definite PET or CT of active or progressive lymphoma on the current study. And that's what they said in August. And then, of course, I had to keep seeing my doctor every month or two. And then we went again. I saw him in, I think, early December. And he wanted me to do another PET scan in December or early January. So, again, insurance rejected me. But this time, on August 13th, 2 days after I got this first scan, um, insurance sent me a letter saying that they considered my appeal and they were going to accept my appeal. And so I have this acceptance of the appeal, but I'd already gotten my scan. So I called them when they rejected my scan for December, and I said, "Hey, I have this letter saying, my appeal. Can I get this scan? You're going to pay for it?" And so the Evacor people said nope again, but Aetna said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not sure I should say that." But my insurance company said, "Yes, we will cover it because we said we would. And you haven't gotten anything for us to pay for since then." And the scan that I just had on December 21st, happy holidays, says my liver SUV was 2.4, and the liver, I'm sorry, where are we? The spleen uptake was 3.1. Again, they said it was close enough. It seems to be benign or chronic post therapeutic scar. And their impression, no definite PET/CT of active or progressive lymphoma on current study. So, right here in my hands, I have two scans that say there is no longer any lymphoma. So, yay. However, in my heart, I'm not feeling it. There's just there's no woo, no bells rung, no everything's right in the world. So I have a little struggle there, and I know I tend to borrow trouble and overthink. But so I'm very grateful, very grateful. It seems as though those 6 cycles of REPOC were the right, my doctor made the right call, and very grateful. Seems like I skirted through again. I don't know how we're able to do this. Maybe with all your love and support and prayer. This is my third cancer. That's a lot of cancer for one little body. So I'm grateful. Uh, I got to catch up on the comments 1 second. Hi, Logie. Hi, Lizzie. Yeah, I did 6 rounds. I don't think we talked about this, but if you watched all the previous videos, which were a lot, uh, I only did 6 rounds of REPOC because and then at the end of the 6 rounds, that's when the assessment took place to determine like next steps. And I think that was the last video I did to tell you what they wanted to do next. So they said if there was still lymphoma after we did these subsequent scans in August, um, that radiation was not my next course of treatment. My next course of treatment was going to be a stem cell transplant. That's what these docs. So I don't want to call out the doctors online, but I'm happy to message you directly if you want to message privately with doctor information or their findings. I did talk about in that last video their logic, but I never asked them about radiation. I've been very fortunate. All 3 of my cancers have not been treated with radiation. Well, I think I'm fortunate. I don't know. I keep getting cancer, so how fortunate could I be? I guess I keep surviving, so that's good news, right? Uh, okay, so that's the news. So here's the hair. I'm going kind of natural, as you can see. Got left sparkles in. Keep asking your questions, Rebecca. I'll be happy to answer them. But yeah, for my lymphoma, I only as if chemo's only, I only did 6 rounds of REPOC. That was it for this lymphoma. All right, I got one of these cheat sheets from my old days, and I'm just gonna go through my old symptoms. Really, none of my mouth, teeth, throat pain issue at all, nausea, except for when I just got my shot, no issue. The weight is a disaster. As you probably can tell, I'm quite plump. So you guys know when I first started my treatment last December, I was down to my goal weight of 61 kilos, and now I am killing. I think I'm at like I've lost a little bit of weight this weekend because I was so sick, but I'm like maybe 76 kilos, which is a lot of weight. When I saw my oncologist last, he said he came in, he looked at his paper, and he's like, "Do you know you gained 20 pounds in 2 months?" Or he didn't say 2 months. He said, "Since the last time you were here." I'm like, "Yeah, I told you." Like the last time I was there, I told him I felt like I was gaining, gaining, gaining. And I think I even talked to you guys a little bit about it. And I kind of was like in that, every day that you take chemo, it takes 2 days for your body to recover. So I know I'm still theoretically, I'm getting close to the end now of that period where my body's still healing. Um, and I was like, well, maybe this is just a side effect of that. I don't know. In any case, he's like, "Well, you gotta move more." I'm like, "I got my Fitbit. I know I'm moving. I mean, I'm not moving as much as I could be, but I'm not like totally sedentary. So I don't know what's going on." And he checked my thyroid, and maybe I'll pursue that with at some point with somebody else and really dive into what's going on. For right now, the scale is going down, thanks in great part to how sick I was over this past weekend. So I'm just gonna try and jump onto that and slowly see what I can do with it. I've also um, made a commitment to myself for 2022 for a number of habit changes that might help me, lose or maintain the weight as well. So we'll see how that goes. Um, and are you doing REPOC? I'm sorry, I'm just catching up on the comments. Rebecca, are you doing REPOC or just the EPOC? Okay, so again, I don't know how much of my videos you watched. So my very first REPOC I had to do in the hospital, but then I did 5 more, and those I was able to do at home, even though it was 48 hours. They gave me like a fanny pack, and the visiting nurse would come once a day to switch out the chemo. So I don't know if that's an option for you or how they're handling it for you, but that was much better for me than having to be in the hospital, especially during COVID when my family couldn't visit. So keep that in mind. Um, Oh, good. You're doing home infusion. That makes me happy. So my experience was I had to be in the center for the R portion, and then they would do I think the pop version if I remember correctly. No, the top. Oh, anyway, whatever. 4 of the chemos you would go to do on the infusion for 4 days, and then you'd go back to the center for one more chemo that couldn't be combined. So I hate to even say this. I don't I Okay, let me keep going here. Let me keep going through my symptoms and signs so I can let you know. So the weight has gone up significantly uh, and I haven't obviously I'm not taking the prednisone anymore, so it's a little bit of a struggle. Again, I made my 20 and 22 and 2022 list. Things that I'd like to do, and I've done things like I want to make sure that I do a Tabata, at least a 4-minute hit exercise, 22 out of 30 days a month. Do yoga 22 out of 30 days. Like I'm trying to be realistic and give myself grace, but also give myself firm goals. All right, so let's keep moving. Sleep has been fairly good. Movement movement. Vital's good. As far as I I have this recorded. I don't think I ever told you guys about my BMs. I just have it on my daily sheets. But everything has been quite regular since I stopped treatment, and any of the anti-nausea meds and the chemo itself is very not good for the regularity. The other thing that I did fairly recently, I don't know how many months it's been. It's since I finished chemo. I took up sourdough. And so I do a sourdough loaf every week or twice a week, depends if the family's eating it. And it's funny because I enjoy cinnamon raisin bread as well as just sourdough. So I make two half loaves and then I make one loaf because we don't eat that much bread. So half the loaf is cinnamon raisin and half the loaf is regular. But sourdough has all the good enzymes that help your belly feel good. So that's been working well. Okay, some great news. The neuropathy, because I had some pretty extreme finger neuropathy and finger neuropathy, a little bit in the toes, but mostly in the hands. No pain at all. I've been crocheting like a champ, no problems, not dropping things anymore, all that stuff. That all went away. So that was absolutely fabulous. Great news. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, hair loss we just talked about. All right, so this hair, which I'm still struggling to style, as you can tell, sorry. Um, this is my second haircut I got, and I'm scheduled for my third haircut this week. Mostly, we've been just kind of trimming this up and letting the top kind of grow in a bit. Let's see if I can hold this up and you can see. Give it a little relativity. So I should have brought a ruler up here, huh? All right, let's see. There we go. How's that? Kind of get an idea. I mean, it's been cut. We're not cutting a whole lot off the top. We're just trying to let it grow in a little bit. A little conflicted. I don't mind the hair. It's really easy to get in and out of the shower, I'll tell you that. And even the styling is pretty quick. All right, my skin, I think my skin has been doing well. I don't feel any dry, patchy, itchy spaces like I used to get. Headaches and fatigue. Headaches, not so much. Fatigue, I do have some moments of fatigue, but I don't know if that's just old age or just the day or I didn't sleep enough. Bill has had a fair amount of medical challenges since I finished treatment. And, I'd like to say sometimes it's like having a toddler, and I forget those days where they need you. There was one night he was in a lot of pain and he woke me up a lot, those kinds of things. So, is the fatigue from that? Red skin from the Red Devil, no problems there. My skin, I think, is leveled out. And chemo brain, I haven't noticed any long term chemo brain or any issues. Occasionally, I can't find words or thoughts that I know I should be able to pull. Again, just my age, maybe. I think I've spoken about this a lot before. One of the things that I do to help with chemo brain and connect those neurons back together again is Sudoku, and I find that very helpful. I don't know, there's something about the way my brain works and connecting the numbers in the right order does magic. I can't explain it. It worked the last time I was on chemo too. Okay, the answer is it softer? Yes. So you can see the question. I'm sorry, I'll read it aloud. The question is, did your hair grow back softer or a different color? So it is softer. It was way softer. Some of my family's on here that have touched it, so you guys can jump in and talk about how it feels. The thing that's interesting to me is it's not crazy gray, but there's a fair amount of gray in here. I think you probably can see maybe. But I don't have that wiry, yucky texture for gray. You know how gray like sticks up and it's not a good texture a lot of times because it loses everything in it. It's not that kind of gray. It's like pretty soft and very malleable. It goes where I want it to go for the most part. It doesn't like, sproying around. And as far as the color, it was dark before. Actually, I think you can see the picture on this channel on my icon when I speak here. I'll speak here. Jen, whoops, not speaking, not typing in the right box. Jen speaking here. That little picture, yeah. That little picture, my hair was colored. I was getting it colored for many, many years. And, just given how short it is, I just made the choice not to color it right now because it would just grow out so quickly. And I'm not sure I even want to go back to coloring it. I kind of like it the way it is. It's definitely silver, got a lot of dark hair to it, and so is it a different color? I don't think it's significantly different. Um, like before I started coloring my hair was like I always used to call it like it's like a really dark brown. Like it wasn't black, it was definitely brown, but it was dark. And I would say it still is that. I would say that the color I was used to, and I think somewhat because I was getting colored, was a warmer shade. And we had introduced a lot of auburn to it because I actually was auburn as a child, and I honestly have redheaded cousins. um, and it's just natural for my skin tone, and so that's where we were going when she was doing the coloring. And to be honest with you, when she colored my hair that color, you couldn't see the grays growing in. So it was a very like there was no line where you could say, "Oh, that's not her color." If you know what I mean. If you ever saw somebody like colored blonde, for example, and like an inch grows in, and then there's like a dark line, you couldn't see a difference in the color that she was doing and the color, my color. But I think the tone might have been a little bit different. So I hope that answered the question. Thank you. I think it looks pretty good. I'm not displeased. I would be happy if it was just a little longer. If I don't try and style it, it kind of has like this. It's got a lot of like you can see it back here. It has a lot of body curl and uh, lift. It just makes my face look very large, like tall, long. When if I don't kind of hold it down on the front like this, but it's not hard to style at all. To be honest with you, just before I got sick, I got one of those, I think Hot Tools, but Revlon has one too. It's like a brush hair dryer, and which I loved. Fabulous. Loved it for my hair. And I'm started to use it again, but I just kind of brush the hair down with it. And then on the back, I do a little curly, curly, curly thing to, enhance the curls back here. But if I didn't do that up here, it would just, my hair would be about this tall, which is not a good look for me. And as the hair gets a little longer, I won't mind that it has body or that it moves. I probably won't even style it, to be honest with you, because I'm pretty, the way it goes. All right. What else can I tell you about? So let me see. I got stuck on hair there. Okay. Skin good. Nose clots. Totally disgusting. Sorry, guys. But I used to get, which I think was a symptom. In any case, those have gone away. Haven't seen those. Night sweats, except for the fact that my husband keeps the house too hot. No. Um, and chemo brain. All right, so those were all the symptoms that I used to get, and for the most part, I would say they are gone, 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 and I'm grateful. And I'm grateful that my body seems to be healing. Not so grateful about the porkiness, but I'm not crazy overweight. I'll say that. I think my BMI right now is maybe one, maybe. So it's up there, but it's not like crazy. Okay, so my nausea started a little bit. Actually, I guess let me ask the question. Let me go back. I gotta check. 1 second. I want to read when you're starting it. My first was CHOP, so this is only my second and it's EPOC. Okay, there we go. Okay, so my experience was, and I don't know if I assume this is how you're doing it. So the 5 days of our EPOC, we had to take prednisone every day, and the day I stopped taking prednisone, or the next day, I had nausea pretty significantly. But to preface that, I personally have lots of nausea, more nausea than they've ever seen. Not this treatment. So 15 years ago, right? 15 years ago or 16 years ago, I had ovarian cancer center at that time. We're like, this is the worst we've ever seen. And then afterwards, after I was done with that treatment, they asked me, "Did you vomit in your pregnancies?" Because I have 2 boys. And I was like, "Yes, crazy amount, yes." And when I say crazy amount, yes, for both boys, most people didn't know I was pregnant in the first trimester unless I told them. They actually congratulated me on losing weight because I was vomiting so much, they didn't know I was vomiting. And, my second one, in my 4th or 5th trimester, the doctor was so concerned with my weight, they're like and I kept saying, "Well, I'm vomiting a lot," and they would be like, "Oh," I think they just discount it when you tell them that, but they did all kinds of blood work and this and that, and they were to the point where they wanted me to start taking medication to stop the vomiting. So, then I started to pursue more aggressively non-medication ways to stop the vomiting and eating things that I knew I could keep down and so forth. So, for whatever reason, my body doesn't, you know, it gets a bee in its bonnet, and I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm prone to vomiting. So I hope that you don't have that experience. But as far as the timing, I'd have to go back in to the videos. And if anybody on here remembers, jump in and tell. I remember, well, for me on REPOC, day 7, 8, and 9, I think if memory serves, and I'm sorry I blocked it out, but we'll look it up. Those always like smacked me. Like day 8 was the worst, and 7 was coming up to the worst, and 9 was starting to feel just a little bit better, where I just wanted to lay in bed and do nothing. And like talking, moving, everything made me feel horrible. And then I got to day 10 and I was like, well, that wasn't so bad. I still didn't feel fabulous. You still have all the symptoms. You got the mouth sores and the the neuropathy and all those things, but it was tolerable. But those few days I just had to stay in bed. I couldn't work. I couldn't, help my family. I couldn't do things. I just needed to let my body heal basically. So that was my experience in REPOC. So um I think if you look in the videos, they're marked by day, but they're also marked by, cycle such and such, day such and such. So that might help you find, what to expect on such and such a day. But again, these were just my experiences. Your experiences, I hope, will be much better. Okay. And I'm glad you haven't had nausea. So, okay. So as far as nausea goes, I did take nausea medication. I took Zofran and Compazine, um, which do work sometimes. The first time, my first chemo, I only responded to Zofran IV. By pill, it didn't help. They now have quick dissolving Zofran, which makes a difference. I think that one worked for me better than the pill. And the Compazine seems to help in concert with the Zofran. um, as far as medication goes. So my comment on the nausea medication would be don't be afraid to take it if you feel nauseous, because that just ruins your quality of life. But also don't take it prophylactically. I wouldn't take it before you need it. It also will mess with your digestive tract, just like any of these kinds of medications. But however, they don't really know that. I mean, the chemo is definitely messing with your digestive tract anyway. So the words there are drink a lot. So I don't know if you saw any of my previous tips, but if water starts to taste really nasty, add a splash, just a splash of any kind of juice, even orange juice. Um, you just have to, I mean, I guess you could even do maple syrup, something just a little smidge to sweeten it makes a difference. Somehow that metallic, gross taste comes out of the water and you can drink it. Or find what works for you. If you can drink seltzer or ginger ale or some other beverage, tea, whatever works for you, drink it. Um, for me, as far as the nausea goes, the things that helped were to eat very bland food and kind of slowly. So on my really most horrible days, I would have like a big oatmeal or porridge and just eat that slowly, very slowly over the course of most of the day because I was so nauseous. Um, Pretzels. Um, for me, very much, I enjoyed root beer barrels. I've tried ginger drops. Ginger drops have worked sometimes, not other times. These are as far as nausea goes. Um, Ginger tea, like all those ginger options. So there are non-medication options to help you control the nausea. One thing that I found this time that was remarkable, it didn't help at the worst days, but it helped on all the other days, is mint chewing gum. Remarkable. Also, my doctor's office recommended that I take Zantac for nausea, which made no sense to me since it's for heartburn. But apparently, and so that got me to thinking because I always chew peppermint gum for heartburn. It helps a great deal for heartburn as well. So I said, well, if I'm treating heartburn, maybe chewing gum will help the nausea. And I chewed the gum, and the nausea, I could kick the nausea out. All right, sorry. Let me. Okay, thanks, Kathy. 7, 8, and 9 were the worst. Let's see. Cherry bun and drink it up. Root beer barrels. Oh yes, thank you, Melissa. Root beer barrels, as far as so you might find a hard candy. Everybody's different. Here's a little teeny bit of a root beer barrel I keep around when I'm doing these in case I feel bad. Um, but root beer barrels were strong enough, and this was a leftover from my treatment 15 years ago. Some people like Jolly Ranchers or different hard candies. I found the root beer barrels to be strong enough to overpower the metallic chemical taste in my mouth. And I think that honestly, that's really what's kicking off some of that nausea. It's just that it always tastes bad in your mouth. It's gross. All right, let's see what else do we got. Root beer barrels. Yeah, root beer barrels, yes. Root beer, I don't know. I drank it occasionally, but it didn't do anything. It didn't make me feel better. I can't explain the difference. I don't know why. I like root beer. I really like birch beer, but all right. I think somebody's speaking in another language that I don't understand. All right, so I'm just trying to see. Have I been jabbering on a long time? You guys have been listening. Thank you so much. I'm just seeing here. What else? Is there anything else? Oh, I just quick charity miles update. All right, the Crush NHL exclamation point group. We still have 21 members. We accrued now. To be fair, it's been almost 6 months since I spoke to you guys. 11,502 miles. I'm like, holy mackerel! Way to go, guys! Which was a addition of 7,832 miles. That's a lot of miles we walked in that time. If you look at it, like it was half the time, and we got more than half the miles. That was really remarkable. And then I calculated that to be a donation to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of $1,955 because I kind of averaged it to 17 cents a mile. And the reason I did that was, let's see. Well, they say if you're biking, you get 10 cents a mile, and if you're walking or running, you get 25 cents a mile. So that would put us at 11,050 to 28.75. So I picked 17 cents a mile, and that put us at 1955, which is very remarkable. Thank you so much, because hopefully all our exercise, which is good for all of us, is going to help them come up with better cures and solutions to these problems. I think what we really need at this point, I'm convinced. Now, not all lymphomas have as good an outcome as me, and I hope, I would like to see that happen. But the other thing is that diagnostically, so I'm sorry, Kathy, and you're only like what 6 months older than me, so let's not talk about old lady stuff. Okay, sorry. The words are now old lady. I gotta raise my computer because I can't read. Okay, blood results. All right. Uh, Rebecca, let's take that one on. I know I've talked about it in other videos, so I can find the videos to show you what numbers they're looking at and what they mean. So I think I've actually even shared my blood results in some videos. So I'll look for them and point you to them, if that's okay. And then what I did want to talk about, let's see. All right, we're good. Um, was just the diagnostics. I'm so aggravated, as you guys all know, I'm sure, with the way that the PET scans are treated here. I can't understand it. I think that they're only $1,000 more expensive to get a PET scan than a CT scan. But this last time when they rejected me at Evacor, which is like the vendor that does they just evaluate the diagnostics, and they have a checklist, and they said no, no, no. So this last time I was fed up, um, and I was like, I'd like to talk to someone to explain to me what test you want me to get instead. And I was escalated through 3 or 4 people till I finally spoke to somebody, and, I'm trying to think. So I was escalated all the way to thanks, Rebecca, that's lovely that you're gonna watch all of them. If you go back to the very first 1 or 2, that's my first hospital stay, and that's my very first treatment. So if you're starting your first REPOC, that might help you see how it went. I don't know. I don't know if that'll help or not. All right. So in any case, so I finally got a hold. They escalated me, and the whole time that they were like, "Well, we can see we rejected you, and would you like the information for appeal?" I'm like, "No, I don't want the information for appeal. I want to know what the process, what is the scan I'm allowed to have." So we escalate, we escalate, we escalate. I'm finally talking to someone, and this is at the end of the day. This is what they told me. She's like, "Well, they didn't provide enough information here." I'm like, "Okay, what do you need to know?" She's like, "Well, I could see you had lymphoma. What was the stage?" I'm like, "Stage 4." So she goes through her magic book, and she's like, "Well, I can see here that with stage 4, you're entitled to a scan every 6 months. We'll cover it for 2 years, every 6 months." And I said, "Great." I said, "Okay." And then she said, "Well, you had a scan in August, so your next one can't be until February." I'm like, "No, no, no. You didn't pay for that scan in August. I did." And she's like, "No, well, it doesn't matter who paid for it. You had one in August. You're not entitled to one till February." So that already irked me because I could understand if they paid for it, then they have a right to say the 6 months. But in this case, hello, the last one they paid for was in May. So I was well beyond the 6 months there. Well, not well, but it was 7 months. So I was already upset there. And then I asked, okay, so I just need to make sure my doctor puts in there that it's stage 4 lymphoma, and you'll approve the next PET scan request as long as it's 6 months past the last one. Well, no, I didn't say you could get a PET scan. You can have a CT scan every 6 months, she says. So I said, oh, I was just boiling inside. I said, well, my understanding from my doctor is that lymphoma is a blood disease. It's not in the solid organs, and you can't see the blood in the CT scan. You can only see the blood in the PET scan. So, unless my cancer progresses to stage 3 or stage 4 and is visible in an organ, a CT scan isn't going to find it. So, you're telling me that you're willing to monitor me for 2 years to make sure I don't have stage 3 or stage 4 cancer, but you won't monitor me for 2 years to make sure that I don't have stage 1 or stage 2 cancer that's much more survivable, and I know cheaper for you to treat. I was like, "Why?" Well, I don't know that that's true. You'd have to talk to your provider, about whether a CT scan can see the cancer in the blood. I'm like, "I've already spoken to my provider. He said I need a PET scan." Well, we don't cover PET scans. So that was my experience. So that is one thing. I wonder if maybe I can start advocating somehow. Maybe I need to start a movement. I don't know. Let me think about this. Now I have a little passion about this because that is so irksome. Why? And there are people that don't know the difference, right? They would just say, okay, and get a CT scan and think everything's good. I mean, there are doctors out there that are not as great as my doctors. I'm just feeling very sad. It's not fair. You should get a scan that's appropriate for what your disease is, not insurance with this insurance. And I swear to you that these people get paid for how many rejections they give me. It doesn't have anything to do with whether I get it eventually. But they reject it 4 times and then they say yes, they get 4 times paid. I don't know that's true. I'm saying that out loud. But so aggravating. Okay, let's see. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I agree. All right, so I'm trying to see. I didn't have anything specific that I wanted to talk to you guys about today, besides just catching up, letting you know about my current prognosis. Oh, and I guess one other thing I did want to touch on while I have you, captive audience that you are. Um, why did I not post for all these months? It's a good question. So I mentioned you know, I think that I'm generally a pretty positive person, but I have greatly struggled. Um, I think we talked in one of the videos, and I don't remember which one, about languishing. You're not mentally healthy, but you're not mentally ill. You're just kind of in the middle and you're not moving. And, last year at this time, when I was considering what do I want to accomplish this year, the only thing I wanted to accomplish was live, which is a very noble, and that was where my energy needed to be. And then there were several months, in that May through September timeframe where we were in this hideous holding pattern. Am I done fighting or do I still have more fights that I need? I couldn't really let down my guard because I was worried that if I, relaxed and got into the okay, you're good to go, that they'd smack me with, okay, you need 3 more rounds and a stem cell transplant and you're going to be in the hospital for a month. And, da, 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 da. And I was incredibly stressed about all that. And then when all that kind of started to settle down, um, I found I was a little aimless. I made a mistake stopping videos with you guys because you guys were my accountability partners. My to do, my to da list every day helped keep me going because I couldn't come on here and tell you, I said I was going to do this today and then I didn't do anything. But once I started having these videos, I said to do this tomorrow and I did to da nothing. And I worked. Work was crazy busy. And then the other thing that happened was, Bill's had a number of medical challenges in the last several months. He's had two two outpatient procedures and one hospitalization. The hospitalization was an infection of unknown origin. His white count was up over 20, which was alarming given that he's on anti-rejection meds that keep him low usually. But we couldn't find a source with they couldn't find anything. They basically pumped him full of massive amount of antibiotics and tested, tested, tested. His numbers came down and they sent him home, but we still really don't know. In any case, that was a fair amount of stress on top of everything else. So just about the time when I was going, okay, I think I might be good. I'm still healing from the inside out, but I think I did this. I think I kicked, I crushed lymphoma, like my goal, right? I crushed it. Um, then there was all this other stuff going. And we also had some simchas. My nephew and niece-in-law get married. That was lovely. And we've had several safe family gatherings. So all those things are great. Robotics was able to start meeting in the warehouse again. Um, although this week we're virtual again, unfortunately. But and so I apologize. I did very much miss you. I think that I needed you guys to be in my life, and I dropped it, and that was a ball I shouldn't have dropped. So I have to figure out how to move forward. I know as I was leaving the last time, I said that this channel was supposed to be patient and portal. Sorry, patient and partner, because my husband and I have both been gravely ill and taking care of one another. And I am passionate about that, but I think I'm a little burnt out or overwhelmed with that at the moment. So I'm not going to pursue that right now beyond what we're doing here. But I think I will pursue my crocheting idea, which was the shorts on YouTube and Instagram for like a stitching encyclopedia, dictionary, whatever you want to call it. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Rebecca, I'm so glad. When I saw your comment, and I'm so sorry I didn't comment on it back. I went downstairs to Bill and I was like, "Guess what?" So if you watch the original videos, you'll see that this originally started because I'm blessed with a lot of friends and family, and we were, in a pandemic, and it's very difficult to get the word out. And we couldn't really have visitors, and I was by myself at the hospital. And even when I got home, because my husband was compromised and now I'm compromised, we didn't want any not strangers, but any strange germs in the house. And it was just a very scary time to be this sick. And so I made the choice, and given that I've already had chemo, I knew that it would be difficult for me to write or blog. And I said, let's do a video. I'll do a video log and I'll just share what's going on. And that's what we did. And I think it worked out. And I said, and you'll see as you watch the videos, I said to Bill, um, I said, and actually I've said to all you guys, um, it's my greatest wish that somebody else who's going through this will find these videos someday and they'll somehow help them. My words, my attitude, sharing the symptoms so you're not alone, whatever the thing is that did to help you. And when I saw your comments on the video the other day, I was so excited. I ran downstairs and I said, "Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Somebody saw my videos and they liked it and they said they got, like, it helped them and blah blah blah." And he just smiled at me. It's like, that's good. So in any case, Rebecca, if you would like to do a Google Meet, one on one at some point, let me know. We can certainly set that up. That's not a problem at all. Um, let's see. I'm going back over here. Uh, hmm, okay. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I'm really I so I think I mentioned already that I put together my 22 and 22 list, 2022 list, and it doesn't look too bad. I'm pretty happy with it. 20 and 22. And I set myself a goal to create my plan, to have a full on plan ready to rock and roll by January 22nd for whatever I'm doing with the crochet thing, because I think that will bring me joy. And then I want to have it live and working by February 22nd. So no later than February 22nd. That'll be my first video. And hopefully it'll be before that. But I want to try and really plan it out, to reduce the stress. And I think keeping it to the 1 minute. So for those who don't know, my thought is to compile. There's something called shorts or 1 minute videos, and compile an army of them. That's every piece part of crocheting. So tensioning, chain stitch, a single crochet, a double crochet, how to slip knot or a magic ring, or some people call them cinch circles. All these kinds of foundationless rows, single finger, double, and all this kind of thing. So, like each one would be um, its own video, and then eventually, once I work through all the basics, I could start to do within the 1 minute, like combine these 5 stitches, and it gives you this, picture or whatever the thing is, So I could just kind of grow it. Like for example, you know here's a stitch. I don't remember what stitch this is because I was just experimenting. But, I could maybe say, okay, this has to be, if you want to make this stitch, it's a multiple of this, and you do this and da 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 within the minute. And then also include the written instructions for the stitch as well as the drawn instructions. So I don't know if folks know this, but in crocheting, there's written instructions for every stitch or crochet pattern, and some people also graph it with pictures. And so there's like a shorthand for what each stitch looks like in the so I can put that all together and show that in 1 minute video. So you could basically build skills, and then if you find a pattern you like, you can go back and refer to these 1 minute videos to build the skill that you need for that pattern, that kind of thing. This is my thought, and I have some passion there. And as you all know already, I tend to crochet to relax, and it brings me joy. So I think that would be a good way to funnel my creative YouTube juices for now. And then eventually I will get back into the partner and patient focus and work on, caregiving and all that kind of stuff. But I just feel a little raw right now. I don't think I'm there. I thought I was there, but I'm not. I think I'm too close to being the patient to be objective on the caregiver side. So it's a little bit of a struggle for me right now. All right, what else do we have here? Okay, that's a spam bot. Hmm. I'm sorry. Is there something I should do for that? Let's see. Okay. So, all right. So you'll see that coming up soon. So those are my plans. I'm still working on my 2022 theme word or phrase. I didn't figure that out yet, but I'm gonna put that all together. So I think that was the other thing that I suffered from for that last part of the year, which was I was finally kind of out of the fight mode, and then I was undirected. I was just kind of floundering a little bit. So that was my story. And I was a little stuck in my brain, as you know. I get stuck in there sometimes. Okay, so let me just type